A flight to Phuket is taking off soon. Stewardess smiling and greeting passengers. But when she walks by, the monk noticed something abnormal. Where she walked, there were even more footprints out of thin air. The girl next to me also noticed. She opened her mouth to ask if the monk had seen, but he turned his head in fear, chanting sutras continuously. And the terrible things have only just begun. Weird things happened to this plane a decade ago. No one on board survived. Later repainted by the airline. The plane that crashed was given a new look and renamed Flight 407. It's going to take off again tonight. Passengers don't know the history of the plane, so everyone boarded the plane with joy. In the first half hour of takeoff, engineers routinely patrol. Just when I got to the lower part of the aircraft compartment, suddenly heard a sound. How could this sound come from the plane? As a responsible engineer, Ali immediately opened the door to check the situation, but no abnormality was found. He can only crawl in and find out. Ali entered the control room to take a closer look, found a falling metal object on the ground. As he observes, I suddenly felt a chill behind me. Just as he was about to go out, the door was accidentally locked. He immediately took out the walkie-talkie and wanted to get in touch with the outside world, but didn't get any response. Soon the plane will take off as scheduled. Ali was thrown to the ground by the huge inertia. Everything is normal in the cabin, but they never thought it's going to be a desperate flight. Stewardess preparing drinks for passengers in restaurant. At this time, Xiao Shui's face suddenly became solemn. She slowly turned her head away. A hand appeared in front of me. Colleagues on the side were also taken aback by her, and they saw nothing. Colleagues think she may have been overworked recently, causing her hallucinations. Then Xiao Shui walked out of the restaurant. She left footprints where she walked. Look at this weird scene. The monk was too frightened to speak, just chanting and praying. Ali, who was trapped in the cabin, also saw a strange scene. Everything in front of me suddenly starts to look shabby. Then countless ghosts appeared in front of me. He was frightened and backed away. On the other side, weird things started to happen in the cabin. The lights flickered. Suddenly a hand appears behind, disappears immediately after swiping across his face. An uncle in the cabin suddenly got up, expressionless eyes, as if something is calling. The uncle ignored the advice of the flight attendant, yelling at the person beside him. In the next second, his face was blue-blooded. Everyone present was stunned, and with weird movements. And worse things are about to happen. Something weird happened on the plane. A middle-aged man suddenly has blue veins on his face. Then the head turned 360 degrees in situ. The flight attendants on the side were frightened. Then the uncle fell to the ground. Upon seeing this, the flight attendant immediately went to help the uncle. It's weird that when he wakes up he's like nothing else. At this time, Xiao He, who was washing his face in the toilet, returned to his seat. The girlfriend on the side found the wound on his face. Xiao He turned her head to the stewardess to get the medicine to wipe, but the stewardess said he wasn't hurt. When Blackie turns back, the wound really disappeared. The pressure gauge in the cab suddenly started to alarm, so the captain sent his assistant to check the cabin. Because of this, Ali, who was trapped in the cabin, was rescued, and the assistant encountered something unclean in the cabin. After coming out, the expression is sluggish and in a trance. While talking nonsense, I walked back to the cab, and as he walked, he suddenly disappeared. When the plane passes over the Sea of Death, the whole plane became shabby. Mess in the cockpit. The flight attendant suddenly fell to the ground. Everyone seems to be locked by something. Difficulty breathing. Ali, as an engineer, realizes it may be caused by hypoxia, so he tried his best to repair the oxygen supply system. After the efforts of Xiao Shui and Ali, finally let everyone breathe oxygen. The cabin is gradually returning to normal. Ali realizes that the plane may have veered off course, so the pressure is unstable. So he went to the cockpit to check the situation, but the door won't open. It turned out that the captain's eyes had already been blinded at this time. The plane has entered the death route. At this time, a girl possessed by a ghost suddenly stood up. He kept shouting Xiao Shui's name, and say everyone on the plane is going to die. After speaking, he fell down with violent convulsions. Having said that, everyone is targeting Xiao Shui. They say it's all because of her, so she has to get out of here. At this time, all the lights in the cockpit go out. Everyone got together. Scary laughter kept coming from above. At this time, the monk began to chant the sutras. Gradually the scary sound disappeared. At this time, Xiao Shui said what happened 10 years ago. All the passengers on the plane that day looked like they were haunted by ghosts. She left her passengers alone to skydive to survive. Everyone on the plane died, and she was the only survivor. And what happened today? It is possible that the ghosts who died back then came to take revenge. The voice just fell. 3 terrifying ghosts appeared on the cabin door. Terrifying scene on the plane. All the passengers panicked and ran away. Black's girlfriend fell to the ground. He's afraid of no return. So I left my girlfriend without looking back. The woman here finds that her daughter is missing. So the monk kindly went with her to find. It turns out that the deceased grandmother was actually possessed by a ghost. Saying that, he rushed towards the 2 of them. The monk is ready to save the woman. As a result, the evil spirit suddenly spoke. "You dare to come." The monk was so frightened that he could only meditate in place. When I turned around, I found that the car was full of ghosts. Women don't care so much, pushing the food cart like a grandmother. It didn't stop until it was completely unrecognizable. At this time, the woman has already lost her mind. Turns monks into demons. The cart hit him directly. As a result, the monk was not spared the pain and left. Here Ali took the rest to the cabin. As a result, 3 beautiful girls fell from the sky. Xiao Shui recognized them at a glance. The 3 women were her colleagues from 10 years ago. Xiao He was terrified by now. Throw the axe at the ghost. As a result, the ghost disappeared and another man fell to the ground. The 3 know that there is only one way to go. Simply smile and face the fear in front of you. But what they didn't expect was, laughter drives away the dead. Ali knows that if he wants to get out of danger, then the plane has to land. So she brought the little girl to the door. Because of her small body, she can only get in and open the door. When the girl saw the scene in front of her, she was instantly stunned. It turns out that there were evil spirits crawling on the glass outside the plane. And the pilot is already dead inside. The girl's mother came. At this time, her mind has long been occupied by evil spirits. She raised her axe and slashed at everyone. Just then, the plane suddenly lost control and began to descend rapidly. The dining car in the cabin is flying towards the woman. She stood in front of her to save her daughter. Just go west. Then Ali finally reached the control tower by phone. However, the landing gear will not open. They know it's the devil's work. In desperation, Ali intends to perish with the evil spirits. He smashed the center console with all his strength. Unexpectedly, all the ghosts disappeared after this smash. In the end, the plane successfully landed on the ground. All survivors survived. But Xiao Shui didn't come down. After a while, rescuers found Xiao Shui's body. It turns out that it was Xiao Shui's undead who said goodbye to Ali just now. Maybe she felt guilty so she chose to stay on the plane. Use your own soul to free those evil spirits. Eventually the plane was returned to the warehouse. Never re-enabled. And Xiao Shui's undead is still sitting quietly in the cabin, waiting for the arrival of the next passenger.